Smells like a
surprise. Did you guys really think I was going to wait till 8 tonight? Nah, that ain't the way we play. What's up, tubers? Madame Roy back once again. See how many people we get here. I was trying to share this on Facebook, and it's not really working out the way I planned, so I guess I'm just going to have to do this. We'll just go like that. Wow, 5 people, unreal. I can't believe how many of you guys actually started to come an hour before I officially said I was going to start this live stream. Stephen Barber is here. Hey, Stephen. He says, I'm doing much better. I'm moving to Ohio. Excellent. I'm so glad you're feeling better. Charlie Lipinski's here, says hi. Hello to you, Charlie. Wow, that picture was terrible. You guys, honestly, to be perfectly honest with you, I was going to start at 8, but when I went to share it, I went ahead and clicked go live instead of share. So you know what? I guess we're going to do an extra long live stream this evening. Wow, that picture is just terrible. I was like, oh. So what's up with everybody? Since I'm doing it extra long tonight, what's everybody been doing this fine day? I know I'm going to do tomorrow. I need to get a haircut. Seriously need to get a haircut. 6 watchers. No, I haven't taken leave of my senses. I literally just by mistake pushed go live instead of waiting until 8. So I figured we'll go ahead and just do it now. Let's see, BRB. Be right back. Gotta grab some food. Yeah, when you gotta eat, you gotta eat. You know what I mean? While we're looking around, I'm just perusing Facebook Marketplace for some possible good deals. Nothing too crazy right now. A lot of Suburbans and Yukons and stuff like that for sale, but nothing near as nice as mine. Except maybe this 2005 Suburban for $1,900? Dang, what's going on with this one? Let's see. Dependable ride, good inspection, AC sunroof. 220,000 miles. That's actually a pretty decent deal. And I could see by the picture, it's actually in good shape. Wow, I'm jealous. That's even less than I paid for mine, though mine only has 179,000 miles. So, you know, that's the worst thing at night when you're bored and you don't know what to do and you're just perusing Facebook Marketplace. You inevitably go and spend money that you don't have to spend. Because you see something that looks really, really good and you want it like now. We're like the now generation, literally. I mean, back, 50 years ago, my parents' generation, the baby boomers, the Gen Xers, they knew how to wait for something. When they wanted something, they would weigh all the pros and the cons and say, okay, yeah, we can afford it now, or no, we can't. We have to wait a little bit. Nowadays, if we want something, we just charge it. We take out a loan or whatever. We want it now, and we don't want to wait. Jonathan Riddle, I was going to watch Charlie's Angels tonight, but can't now because some cruddy show is on. Was that like Antenna TV or something? I was never a big Charlie's Angels fan. I always preferred All in the Family, the Jeffersons, kind of the edgier stuff, to be honest with you. Eric has returned. Oh, Eric, I have a story for you since you're here, and I think everybody out there is going to want to hear this one. My mom, me and her friend, or my mom, her friend, and I should say, we took a ride up to Chick-fil-A to get a milkshake earlier. This is the second time my mom has ridden the back of my Yukon on the passenger side, and she said there was something rattling in the door. And sure enough, I sat back there, I let mom drive it on the way home, and yeah, you could hear it. Something was rattling. So I took the door panel off when I got home, and and I quickly realized that what was rattling was the rear speaker. Somebody had actually been in there, and they didn't even put the bolts in. The bolts were loose. I mean, I could literally take the shroud that the speaker sat in and just do this, and it would move. On top of that, once I delved deeper into it, I realized the speaker was blown, and I actually couldn't even find it. The person who was in there before had disconnected that little two-pin connector from the speaker, and it just was sitting down in the door well. So I said to myself, I got to do one of two things. I can either try to order a factory replacement online, which probably take me a week or two to get it, and I can keep my door panel off, or I could go the El Cheapo route and go to AutoZone and pick up one of their 6.5 inch speakers. So I did the latter. I went with the El Cheapo route. I actually went over to AutoZone. I picked up, let me see if I can remember what the brand was. Eric, you probably going to know exactly which speaker I got. If you are hearing this, help me out here. I can't think of the brand, but you probably sell them where you are anyway. Metra, that's it. Thank you, Eric. I picked up a 6.5 inch Metra speaker for about $20. It was like 18, 20 with tax. So I brought it home. Realized quickly that I was gonna have to splice it in because they don't use the GM 2-prong speaker connectors. So got my splicer, got all my tools out, cut the head off of it, put some alligator clips on the new speaker, spliced the wire in, got to that point. Then I realized that the speaker is not going to fit properly in the GM shroud. This Metra speaker does not have the same holes for the original GM shroud that the speaker, the Bose speaker sat in. So I kind of jerry-rigged it a little bit. I put one screw in. One was able to fit in properly. The other ones, the speaker was actually smaller, a little bit in diameter than the original. I think the original just had a bigger bezel on it. So what I wound up doing is I was able to finagle a screw in just enough to hit the edge of the new speaker on the opposite side. So I have one screw in, torque screw in all the way. The other one just enough so it's bracing against the edge of the new speaker. And once you know it was just enough to keep it in there tight, put it back in. Had to deal with putting the door panel back on. Eric, I don't know if you've ever worked with, what is it, GMT 800 platform door panels, but the problem that I had was it was easy to get the door panel back on, but every time I got it on, I realized that the door, power door switch, or I say the toggle that you can switch manually, wasn't working properly. So I had to take it off again. I did this about 4 times, and I realized that the reason that the switch wasn't moving back and forth all the way is because the weather protection, the plastic weather protection on there, I had actually inadvertently attached some of the glue and the weather protectant to the little rod. So I had to move that off, clean the glue off, put it back on, and then finally the job was done. A job that probably would have taken an experienced mechanic 40 minutes, maybe 30 minutes on a good day to do, took me 2 hours to do. So yeah, that was kind of my little project for tonight. But I'll be honest with you, and I'm sure Eric will probably say, oh, those speakers are garbage. But to be honest with you, I think it actually sounds pretty darn good. The 2 rear speakers are just 6.5-inch speakers. So the left one is still the original Bose speaker, to the best of my knowledge. And the right one is this El Cheapo Metra speaker. And actually, if you listen to them, I can't tell the difference. They both sound very similar. So I'm actually happy with a cheap and very quick fix. Because that platform was new and very popular when I did car stereos professionally. I have immense respect for anybody that does that for a living, because it is a royal pain in the butt, honestly, because nothing is standard anymore. I guarantee you try to do the same thing in like a modern Toyota, you'll probably find a weird 3-prong connector. There's no reason that this stuff shouldn't be standard. You only need 2 speaker wires, a ground and a positive. So a positive and a negative. And that's it. That's all you need. You don't need these fancy connectors. I think the only reason they do it is to make sure that people bring these vehicles back to the dealership when they have a problem. I know that's the only reason they do it. Eric goes, that is part of the reason why Bose has a poor reputation. Yeah, and you warned me, buddy. You warned me that I may have some issues with those speakers, and sure enough, that rear one didn't work. So far, fingers crossed, every other speaker in that Yukon is working properly now. So if they start to fail, I guess I'm going to be on another adventure trying to change those out. I had the Notes phones when I switched off an iPhone for a year, but I'm happy to go back to the iPhone. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I still like sticking with a an Android phone. I could not go back to the iPhone now, even if I wanted to. I couldn't change the platform. It's just too different. So that was really my adventure tonight. So luckily everything went together fine. The speaker sound like the speaker sounds really good. As a matter of fact, if the other rear one starts to fail, if I start hearing crackling, I'm probably just going to do the same thing with that speaker. I think it'll just be easier. And next time, maybe what I'll do, instead of using those little crimp connectors, I might just solder everything together, because I may actually have issues with that. But for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, when you splice two wires together like I had to do here, one being the two with the alligator clamp, or the clip, I should say, that goes onto the new speaker, and the other being where I cut off the connector from the old GM side of things. I used one of those little crimp connectors. Basically, you put one wire in one side, one in the other, and you crimp both ends. And I've had pretty good luck with those. Eric goes, I would probably go ahead and replace the other rear speaker so it had an even ohm load on the rear channel of the amp. Yeah, I had thought about that, but I read on the box with these Metra speakers that they're dual ohms. In other words, they work at 4 and 8 ohms. So I'm not 100% sure, but I have to assume that the Bose system is either working off of one of those. I mean, it's pretty much common that you either work off of 4 or 8 ohms. So I think it'll be okay for now. But I take your point. When I have the time, I'll probably just go ahead and put the other speaker in. I'll just get another one of those Metra speakers. Eric, I was very impressed with that. I'll have to be honest with you. I did not expect that speaker to sound that good for being a 18, under $20 speaker. But of course, in the GM vehicles like this with the Bose system, the majority of the sound, the better sound, comes from the front speakers, because you have the 4 speakers. You have the basically the woofers in the door, you have the tweeters in the A pillar, and then you have your 2 small rear speakers. Jonathan Grinnell, backup cameras are now coming standard on cars nowadays. Yeah, ever since 2015 is when they started with that. Unfortunately, that's the one feature that my Yukon does not have, and really could use it too, honestly. It's got everything else. It's got satellite radio, it's got DVD, in-dash DVD, it's got navigation, just does not have the backup camera, which I wish it did. Or let me raid me horde of random car audio stuff and come down. That would be an interesting video. That would be a really interesting video, I think. Us working on audio equipment together, car audio. The expert being you and the novice being me, looking like a stooge on camera. All right. Well, we got a bunch of people here, so I guess we'll go ahead and at 7:30 I'll announce what I was going to announce. And yeah, it's not as bad as the title suggests. It's not really bad at all. I just try to be a little clickbaity, because that's the only way you can get any attention on YouTube nowadays. Eric goes, I actually just found out that the DVD drive in my Silverado, 2018 Silverado, is actually a Blu-ray. You can watch anything in there. Blu-ray, DVD, CD. Wow. Yeah, not mine. '05 would just be a DVD. Blu-ray came out, I think, around like '08, '09, but cars didn't adopt that. And that's actually interesting because I've never even heard of a car that had a Blu-ray player. Generally, you find them in like some laptops, standalone Blu-ray players, and I think they even use them for data backup purposes because a Blu-ray, a single-sided Blu-ray can hold 25 gigs, and a double-sided or a double density Blu-ray disc can hold 50 gigabytes. Yeah, yeah, it's the same thing with my Yukon and the van. They will not allow you to watch anything while you're driving. As soon as you put it in gear, any gear, reverse, forward, first, second, it disables that feature. And I'm glad that they did that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, unless you're like stuck in traffic somewhere on the interstate, and you're sitting there and you don't have anything to do, you could just put it in park and maybe watch your copy of Anchorman or something. Joey Grudel goes, surprisingly, you can play a 4K on standard Blu-ray drive as long as you don't update the firmware. I always thought you were able to do that anyway. It just won't play in 4K. Most 4K Blu-ray discs have the regular 1080p version on there anyway. But maybe when you update the firmware, the companies are disabling that because they want you to go and buy each one. They want you to buy the 1080p version and then the 4K version. I've not even put a single disc in it yet, but the topic came up in the Silverado group. Interesting. Okay, I think we got enough people here. So I'm not going to wait until 8 o'clock. We'll do this right now. So basically at 7:30. Big news. I am going to be leaving town for about a month, probably around the 5th, maybe 6th of November, and then probably coming back the beginning of December. Now, you had heard me talk about this, most of you already, in previous vlogs. I am going up to where my uncle lives in Greene, New York, Greene, which is right outside of Binghamton. And I'm going to be helping one of the gentlemen there that owns the Village Variety. He's going to be opening up a new store. I can't say where, but that's about as much as I can say on that. But I'm going to be helping him set up the new store. So it's basically going to be like stocking, putting up the shelves. And he's going to be hiring me on a temporary basis. So it'll be pretty interesting. I'm going to be making videos, hopefully on the way up. If not on the way up, it'll probably be more like when I'm up there. But yeah, I mean, that's the big news. And for me, it's big because I am a homebody. I usually do not like leaving home for that length of time, but I need to expand my horizons. I need to get out there. I need some more adventure in my life. It's just something that I've wanted to do for a long time. I'm probably going to drive up there alone. So I may, if it's okay with Eric, I may be able to stop by your place and maybe we can hang out a little bit. I don't know. I would love that. I'll get up with you when I know more about the exact day that I'll be heading up that way. It's going to be difficult financially. It might be a little bit of a burden for a while because I don't know exactly how much he's going to be able to pay me for this. This is more of an experience thing, and I'll be able to conduct other business while I'm up there. Like I've made a lot of connections up in that area where I can get computer equipment that I can refurbish and sell like I do on a regular basis. But I need to watch the budget. So I'm going to be scrimping and saving to make sure I have enough to get up there, live on for a while, hopefully maybe give my uncle some money for rent. If not, then, maybe it'll just be like to buy groceries and help him with household expenses. But It's not cheap. Traveling is not cheap. And especially if I take that Yukon, which I probably will, that thing gets about 13 miles a gallon, maybe about 16 on the highway if I'm lucky. Thank you, Jonathan. I appreciate it. Prayers will be always be appreciated. So that's pretty much the big news that I have for you guys right now. I don't know what else to say because I don't know all the logistics of it yet. And I won't really find out until I get up there. Basically, he just says, I get up there as soon as I can after November 1st, and we're going to figure out everything once I'm up there. I do have some things and places that I would like to go when I'm up there, though. Weather permitting, I think we can figure out some really interesting videos. So, what has everybody else got to talk about? I always talk a lot at these things. Would anybody else have a comment, anything they want to say or ask me within reason, of course?